All right, you're here for part 3 of our video series on how to get really creative with your videos so that you can really engage your audience and make some really interesting content with some really simple techniques that you can apply.
This is about how to make every one of your videos more creative every time. We're challenging ourselves and we're challenging you so that you can get the very most out of your video shoots by just thinking about things in a new way. So today we're going to cover off a few different techniques around lighting, graphics and music. Do you want to kick us off on lighting, Sue?
Yeah, sure. Lighting's something that I think's become a little bit more common for people to understand because, you know, there's so many lighting options. Like if you go into, you know, your department stores or whatever, there's, you know, there's the ring lights, and people doing their own videography can easily get lights really accessibly. They're not crazy expensive anymore. So it's something you should definitely think about playing around with.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And if you look at this setup, I'll be honest with you guys, this is a pretty stock standard, very evenly lit, they call it TV lighting, so there's sort of not really any shadows anywhere, but it's not that creative either. So if we're trying to get more creative, maybe we should change up our lights. What do you think, Sue?
Yeah, let's see if we can make it really moody.
Okay, so what just happened was the overhead LED lights got turned off, so a lot of that fill that we had, which is bouncing a light around everywhere and killing all the shadows, is now gone. And you might notice a difference. It might seem like it is a bit moodier and a bit more intense.
It's a little bit more like that noir style that people really gravitate to.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's play around with another lighting setup. How are you feeling in this lighting?
I actually feel like I'm sitting in the dark.
Yeah, well, so, you know, change up the lighting again to help with the storytelling a little bit. So I'm spotlit and you're backlit.
No, so I could be like the bad guy.
Yeah.
Lurking.
Yeah, you could look at it that way. Or you could be like the cop and I'm the one getting interrogated because I'm really under the spotlight, but I can't really see much of your face here. And if we turned off that fill light there, it'd be even more like you are in silhouette.
Yeah.
So these are just ways to show what's possible with lighting. Let's get some color into the mix now. What do you think?
Yeah.
So now we've changed the setup again so that we've still got our overhead lights off. So it's a little bit moodier because we've got these lights illuminating our faces, but we've got one added extra, which is a background color wash in green. Yeah, so look, you know, it probably doesn't look that nice right now. We just kind of chuck the light up, but you can see the sort of interesting shadows. So if you have a look over there, the sort of shadows that you're getting off the globe. And each color kind of sends a different message about what you're trying to do. Yellows often are seen to warm things up. Blues are seen to cool things down. So if you were doing a show about true crime stories, maybe blue would be a good choice. Yellow might be good if you're doing a kind of warm and fuzzy story. So again, with the addition of one light, you're getting quite a lot of storytelling impact or creative value out of it. I'm not sure about green myself, but maybe we're on some alien, you know, landscape.
Or the Hulk standing nearby or something. But I think the thing is, it's about the story. What's the story you're telling? What mood do you need to portray for that scene, for that story? And so what's going to make the most sense colour-wise? So it really comes back to what's the story you're telling.
Yeah, so Sue, there was a shoot we recently did, an interview series. Do you remember that one? It had very minimalist lighting, but it was quite effective.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. We'll bring up a shot now for everyone to see.
So to achieve that lighting setup, it was really one side light on the participant, a sort of spotlight on the black backdrop, and a little bit of fill lighting around the chair. And that gave you like quite a dramatic cinematic effect. So there's so much you can do with lighting, and it's something that you need to probably discuss with your film crew and the lighting experts around what's possible. But again, everything doesn't need to be flat and studio lit like we've done. It can be much more dramatic and, you know, be a big contributor to the storytelling.
All right, well, we'll go back to our normal lighting and move along.
So next up we're talking about graphics. How much can graphics offer to making your videos more creative?
I think graphics can add a huge amount, and there's all different ways you can incorporate graphics. So you can have everything from, you know, your lower thirds or your titles, your on-screen titles. You can get really creative with those in the way they come onto the screen, what type of background they have. Again, really just depends on the story you're telling and who you're putting a title under, but you can have a lot of fun with those.
Yeah, it can bring a lot of credibility. It can also be a good brand hit, you know, having logos and brand colours and textures incorporated into the storytelling.
And I think the other thing you can do is graphics are really, really useful. So you can bring up a full screen graphic with text, and that could be a quote or something that really enhances the points that you're speaking about. If it's an informational piece to camera, it's a really good way to keep it a bit more dynamic.
That also has the benefit of creating a bit of visual structure to your storytelling. So you might use full screen title cards as breakers, and that kind of imposes a bit of structure and a bit of tempo into your storytelling, and that will be highlighted even more if you bring in other elements like voiceover, like sound effects. You know, these things will say to the audience, okay, we've reached a milestone and we're moving on to something new.
Motion graphics can be really fun. They can really bring a lot to a video, even if it's just the way the logo moves, or fading in, fading out, swiping across to change a shot. You know, there's all kinds of tricks that you can play.
So you might want to go down the animation route. That's another step. There's more work involved, but it can be a great way of bringing your story to life, particularly if it's not observable or something that you can film. A simpler way of getting the animation style is to look at what you've got in your catalogue. For example, infographics can be easily animated with some basic motion graphics to make them really visually interesting. What do you think about that?
I'm all for graphics. I think that anywhere you can incorporate that, it just adds a different element, keeps things dynamic, keeps it more creative. And another one that is really useful is music.
Yeah, music's the third thing. So we've talked about lighting, we've talked about graphics, and music's another great element in making your videos more creative. So where do we find our music?
You can get it composed. You can actually get people to actually write and compose music for you, and that's a really great if you're wanting something really original that's really going to, it's almost like branding, you know, it's the music behind your brand. But you can also go to stock music libraries, you can get license-free music. There's all different ways you can get music.
Yeah, that's right. And we use all of those techniques. So we'll use, you know, stock library sites like Premium Beat, for example, but we'll also get music composed for our bigger projects that really need that audio signature and really bespoke audio to help the storytelling along. Both ways are terrific ways to bring creativity into your storytelling. My one pro tip here would be that if your video is longer than, say, 90 seconds, consider using more than one music track, because it helps give that dynamic range to your story as well. So you might have a more upbeat track and a more slower track, for example, and putting these two things together is going to be better than just sticking with the one track.
That's true, because when you have something that's a little bit methodical, I can't say that word.
What's the word, Big Guy?
Methodical.
Going through, it can start to feel a little bit slow and dragging, even though it might not be. It's just that the music's giving it that sense. So, and the other tip that I would really recommend is make sure your sound mix is right, because sometimes if the music's too loud, you can't hear the voices of people speaking, and that's actually really frustrating for your audience.
Yeah, that's particularly true when there's lyrics in the music, and that can sometimes compete with the dialogue, so something to watch out for there. Some of the stock music libraries are fantastic in that they offer different stems, different versions with some instrumentation removed and some with the full mix, some without vocals, etc. So that's something to check out as well.
Yeah, so get into it, get creative with your videos, try out all these different techniques, and make sure you subscribe to our channel, because we'd absolutely love you for it, and leave us a comment and tell us which of these tricks and tips you've been using.